Okay, so let's get right into it. We're going deep, and I mean deep, inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. We're going to try and crack a mystery that's been sealed in solid stone for 4,500 years. It's an incredible story of ancient engineering, modern-day robots, and a secret vault that we found, but have never, ever opened.
I mean, this is the question, right? For centuries, people have dreamed of finding that one untouched chamber, the one nobody's ever seen. And then we actually found one. But it turns out finding it was just the beginning of the real puzzle. Yeah, this wasn't your typical archaeological dig with shovels and brushes. No way. The passage leading to this secret was way too small for any person to get through. So this mission needed a whole new kind of explorer, pitting a little modern robot against one of the biggest secrets of the ancient pharaohs. So the story really kicks off with a discovery that was, frankly, a total shock. Deep inside this narrow shaft, a place that everyone thought was just a dead end, a robot found something that just shouldn't have been there. Just try to picture this journey. This tiny little robot, its name is Upuat, which means the opener of the ways. It's crawling for over 200 feet up this super steep, dark shaft. We're talking a passage that's barely 8 inches wide, a space that hasn't seen a single ray of light since the pyramid was first sealed. And then, all of a sudden, it just stops. And what the robot's camera saw wasn't just a random blockage. No, it was a beautifully finished door made of polished limestone. And, get this, glinting in the robot's lights were 2 little copper pins. Finding metal like this inside the pyramid is incredibly rare. They looked almost like handles or keys. This wasn't a dead end. This was a deliberately sealed door. Now, to really understand why this discovery sent absolute shockwaves through the world of Egyptology, we need to back up a little. You need some context about where these shafts are and why, for a long time, people thought they shouldn't even exist. So, in the pyramid, you've got these 2 main upper chambers. The shafts in the king's chamber. We pretty much know what they were for. They point to the stars, they open to the outside, probably to guide the pharaoh's soul. But the shafts in the queen's chamber down below, a complete enigma. They were found back in 1872, hidden behind the walls, and they were sealed from the get-go. They didn't seem to lead anywhere. And this timeline, it just gives you a sense of the incredible scale of this thing. We're talking about a puzzle that was created around 2560 BC, stumbled upon by pure accident thousands of years later in 1872, and then only really investigated with our technology in 1993. That is a secret that has been kept for over 4 millennia. So this is the paradox, right? This is the question at the heart of it all. Why would these ancient engineers go to all the insane trouble of carving these perfect 200-foot-long shafts just to seal them up at both ends? It clearly wasn't for air, it wasn't for people, it had to be for something else. A purpose so secret they buried it in the very heart of the pyramid itself. So after that first incredible discovery, it was basically game on. This kicked off a mission that would span decades. It took 3 different robots, each one more advanced than the last, to try and get past this ancient security system. Right, so the whole mission played out in these big steps. First, you have Upuat 2 making that initial find. Then, 9 years later, they send in the Pyramid rover, and its job is to actually drill through that first door. And then, almost another decade after that, the Jetty robot uses this cool little flexible camera to finally peek behind it. But as you'll see, every single step just made things weirder. Okay, so that 2002 mission was a massive deal. It was a global live TV event. Millions of people around the world were tuned in, completely glued to their screens, expecting to see, a hidden chamber, or maybe some treasure, or something amazing. The tension was just off the charts. The drill finally breaks through the stone, and this was the moment of just collective shock. Because just 8 inches, 20 centimeters, behind the first door, was a second door, a rough, unfinished block of stone. It was the ultimate anticlimax. The mystery wasn't solved, it had literally just doubled. So, where does all of this leave us today? Well, that final door is still sealed. But the third robot mission, the one in 2011, it did give us some really tantalizing and honestly kind of chilling new clues from that tiny space between the 2 doors. So the Jetty robot's little snake camera poked through the hole and revealed 2 game-changing clues. First, it spotted mason's marks painted in red paint on the floor. This was proof that people were physically working in this tiny, tiny space when the pyramid was being built. But even more amazing, it saw the back of those copper pins from the first door. And they weren't handles at all. They were these delicate, decorative loops. And that one single discovery, well, it changed everything.
So now we're basically left with two leading theories. The first one is that this whole thing is symbolic, that the doors are spiritual gates and those decorative copper loops are like symbolic keys for the pharaoh's soul to continue its journey. But then you've got the science. Modern scans using muons, which can detect density through stone, have found an anomaly, a potential void, an actual physical room right near these shafts. And then, just as it felt like we were on the verge of maybe finally getting an answer, the whole thing just stopped. Because of the political upheaval in Egypt back in 2011, the Jetty project was put on hold. The robot was packed up and taken away, the little drilled hole went dark, and the vault was once again left alone with its secrets. 4,500 years. Let that number just sink in for a second. That's how long this secret has been kept. It's outlasted empires, it's outlasted entire civilizations. It's just sitting there, in the dark, 200 feet deep inside the last surviving wonder of the ancient world.
You know, we have the technology. We could go in there and drill through that second door tomorrow. We could solve this mystery. But should we? The ancient Egyptians built this to be sealed forever. Maybe the real discovery here is respecting that. It kind of makes you wonder, what if the purpose of this door isn't really to hide what's behind it, but to make us question what's worth opening in the first place?